Kofi adjusted the strap of his backpack as he walked through the dimly lit hallway leading to the boys' hostel. The faint hum of distant chatter and the occasional creak of doors echoed around him. His mind was elsewhere, replaying the day's lectures and the book he had been reading, a worn-out copy of Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Lost in thought, he barely noticed the soft tap on his shoulder. He turned, and there she was. Zuri stood before him, her presence commanding yet gentle. Her hair was styled in intricate braids that framed her face perfectly, each strand seeming to catch the faint light of the hallway. She wore a confident smile, her eyes sparkling with a mix of curiosity and warmth. For a moment, Kofi was speechless, caught off guard by her effortless grace. "Hi," she said, her voice smooth and inviting. "I noticed you reading earlier. Things Fall Apart, right?" Kofi blinked, surprised. "Yeah, it's one of my favorites." "You've read it?" Zuri nodded, her smile widening. "More than once. Achebe's storytelling is timeless. I love how he captures the clash between tradition and change." Kofi felt a spark of excitement. "Exactly! That's what I love about it too. Do you enjoy other African literature?" "Absolutely," Zuri replied, her enthusiasm matching his. "From Ngugi wa Thiong'o to Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, I can't get enough. What about you?" The two of them stood there, their conversation flowing effortlessly. They discussed books, authors, and the power of storytelling, each sentence drawing them closer. Kofi couldn't remember the last time he had connected with someone so quickly. There was something about Zuri, her confidence, her passion, her smile, that made him feel both at ease and exhilarated. As they talked, Kofi felt a mix of awe and happiness. He hadn't expected this encounter, but now that it was happening, he didn't want it to end. Zuri seemed to feel the same way, her eyes lighting up with every word they exchanged. When they finally parted ways, Kofi couldn't stop smiling. He walked into the hostel, his mind buzzing with excitement. He didn't know what this chance meeting would lead to, but one thing was certain: he couldn't wait to see Zuri again. Over the next few weeks, Kofi and Zuri's friendship blossomed like a flower in the early days of spring. They became inseparable, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. Together, they explored the hidden corners of the academy, uncovering secrets that had been buried for years. One afternoon, they found themselves in the old library, a dusty, forgotten room tucked away in the farthest wing of the school. Sunlight streamed through cracked windows, illuminating the shelves of ancient books. Zuri ran her fingers along the spines, her eyes wide with wonder. "Can you imagine the stories these books could tell?" she whispered, pulling out a leather-bound volume. "This place feels like a treasure chest." Kofi grinned. "Or a time capsule. Maybe we'll find something no one else has seen in decades." As they flipped through the pages, Zuri leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial tone. "Have you heard about the secret societies here? They say there are hidden tunnels beneath the school, used for meetings and forbidden love affairs." Kofi raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Forbidden love affairs? Sounds like something out of a novel." Zuri laughed, her eyes twinkling. "Maybe it is, but wouldn't it be exciting if it were true?" Their laughter echoed through the empty library, but beneath the surface, Kofi sensed a deeper connection forming. They shared secrets, dreams of the future, fears of failure, and hopes of making a difference in the world. Zuri wanted to become a writer, to tell stories that would inspire change. Kofi, on the other hand, dreamed of becoming a teacher, shaping young minds and bridging gaps between cultures. But not everyone was happy about their friendship. One day, as Kofi walked past the principal's office, he overheard a conversation that made his heart sink. The principal's voice was low but firm. "Zuri's parents are concerned. They feel their daughter is spending too much time with someone from a different background." Kofi froze, his stomach churning. He had always known that Zuri came from a wealthy, influential family, while he was just a scholarship student from a small village. But he had never let it bother him until now. Later that evening, he met Zuri at their usual spot by the old oak tree. She noticed his troubled expression immediately. "What's wrong?" she asked, her brow furrowing. Kofi hesitated, then sighed. "I overheard the principal talking to someone. Your parents, they're not happy about us being friends." Zuri's face fell, but only for a moment. Then she straightened, her eyes blazing with determination. "It doesn't matter what they think. You're my best friend, Kofi. No one gets to decide who I spend my time with. Her words warmed his heart, but the weight of the situation lingered. Kofi knew that their friendship was about to face its first real test. Would they be able to overcome the barriers society had placed between them? Or would the pressures of the world pull them apart? As the days turned into weeks, Kofi and Zuri's friendship deepened into something more. Something neither of them had planned, but both had secretly longed for. Their connection was undeniable, a magnetic pull that drew them closer despite the risks. They began meeting late at night, sneaking out under the cover of darkness to their secret spot, the old tree in the academy's garden. The tree was ancient, its gnarled branches stretching toward the sky like protective arms. Beneath its canopy, the world seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them. They would sit side by side, their shoulders touching, and talk for hours. Sometimes they didn't talk at all, content to simply be together under the stars. One night, as the moonlight filtered through the leaves, Zuri turned to Kofi, her eyes soft but serious. "Do you ever think about what would happen if someone found out about us?" Kofi hesitated, then nodded. "All the time. But I can't stay away from you, Zuri. You're everything to me." Zuri's breath caught, and for a moment they simply looked at each other. From that night on, their meetings became more intimate. They shared whispered promises and dreams of a future where they could be together without fear. But they were always careful, always aware of the consequences if they were caught. The academy had strict rules, and Zuri's parents would never approve of their relationship. Still, the risk only made their bond stronger. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Kofi, someone else was watching. Amma, a beautiful and popular student, had always admired Kofi from afar. She was used to getting what she wanted, and she couldn't understand why Kofi didn't seem to notice her. When she began to suspect that his attention was elsewhere, her curiosity turned to jealousy. One evening, as Amma walked back to her dorm, she spotted Kofi slipping into the garden. Intrigued, she followed him, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and suspicion. When she saw him meet Zuri under the old tree, her hope turned to anger. "So that's why he's been ignoring me," she muttered under her breath, her fists clenched. "Zuri, of course!" Amma's jealousy burned like a fire, and she couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. She had always seen Zuri as competition, but now it was personal. Determined to confront Kofi, she waited for the right moment. The next day, she cornered him in the hallway after class. "Kofi," she said, her voice sweet but laced with venom, "I couldn't help but notice you've been spending a lot of time with Zuri. Is there something going on between you two?" Kofi's heart skipped a beat, but he kept his expression neutral. "We're just friends, Amma. That's all." Amma raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. "Friends don't sneak out at night to meet under trees, Kofi. Be careful. People talk, and not everyone is as forgiving as I am." Her words hung in the air like a threat, and Kofi felt a chill run down his spine. He knew Amma wasn't the type to let things go. If she decided to make trouble, it could ruin everything. That night, when he met Zuri under the tree, he told her about the encounter. Zuri listened quietly, her expression thoughtful. "We knew this wouldn't be easy," she said finally, "but we can't let fear control us. We'll just have to be more careful." Kofi nodded, but the weight of their secret felt heavier than ever. As they sat together under the stars, he couldn't shake the feeling that their love was a fragile thing, one that could shatter at any moment. Amma's jealousy festered like a wound she couldn't ignore. Every time she saw Kofi and Zuri exchange glances or share a quiet laugh, her resentment grew. She had tried to warn Kofi, but he had brushed her off. Now she decided it was time to take matters into her own hands. One afternoon, she marched into the principal's office, her chin held high. "I need to report something," she said, her voice steady but laced with urgency. "Kofi and Zuri have been sneaking out at night to meet in secret. I've seen them myself." The principal's eyes narrowed, and he leaned forward, his expression grave. "Are you certain about this, Amma?" "Absolutely," she replied, her tone firm. "I thought you should know before it becomes a bigger problem."